Welcome back to another episode of Singapore's Real Estate Explained, brought to you by the GNA Investments team. And today we have another new launch review.
In the heart of Clementi, Elta. And this is something last time
Ori was your primary school.
Right? And
Elta
now
is my secondary school.
Yeah, so it's a place very close to Grace Hut. And without much further ado, let's jump deep into the research. Okay, but before we start, formality-wise, I thank all our clients. We set updated our numbers. We realized that we served over close to 730 investment clients.
Yep.
And we have achieved close to 19.56% annualized returns on average after netting off all the costs. Okay, and that's something I thank our clients for supporting us thus far. And if you are looking for investment unit in the market right now, okay, feel free to scan the QR code right below and we sign from the investment team to reach out to you.
And we also want to thank all 150 of our clients, who took the time out to leave us a Google review on our page also.
Yeah, 5-star review, and we are thankful for this. And currently, our YouTube channel has also grown close to 15.6k subscriber and still growing, and we hope to continue to deliver content like such for you. And without much further, let's start the ball rolling. Okay, Elta. Okay, so Grace, can you run us through this location?
Yeah, I think it's a very unique location because it's located in OCR, but the pricing is definitely not OCR pricing. So we'll see later on, stay tuned to see, okay, in the past developments or past launches in this area itself, when they overpaid at the start, how much more did they overpay as compared to OCR? And we also dive a bit deeper into the floor plans today to say that, okay, if you're looking at 2-bed 1-bath versus 2-bed 2-bath, 3-bed compact versus 3-bed premium, what should be the extra you should be paying? And does people really pay this extra in the resale market or not?
Yes, and most importantly, what exactly could be the walkaway price that we're looking at end of the day, such that we don't end up overpaying for this development.
Yeah.
All right, so let's look into this development project information. Number of units is 501. Okay, on the site area, 13,000 square meter of land. So it's a pretty big development. And it's high rise. It's the last one we saw just recently that concluded. Ori. And this is something very similar to that. We have the developer being MCL Land and with a Hong Kong developer and the CSC Land Group.
Usually, if you're very high rise, you need to hope they get a very good ballot number.
Yes, because the price jump can be pretty crazy. Especially what in Ori, it started with 2,000, went all the way to 3,000 per square feet. And it's something that we do look into to make sure you have a walkaway price for this development. Okay, next up, let's take a look at location. Location-wise, it's actually within the Clementi Avenue 1 area. The nearest MRT station is Clementi. Okay, and in fact, if you look at the entire locality itself, it's known as a HDB heartland, where people...
$1 million HDBs.
Yes. Yeah, people know for $1 million HDB and a location that is very centralized when it comes to the west side as compared to somewhere all the way far in the Jurong area. And in terms of land bid, if you look at the number of bidders, you can see this area is very high in demand. You have 6 bidders that is bidding very close to each other, with NCL Land winning the bid just 4% higher than the second bidder.
So not too bad. It shows that this area has demand and in fact a lot of demand, because very unlikely you see like 6 bidders for a single plot of land. And I think CSC did a good job with MCL, right? That they didn't overpay for the land also because they only got it like slightly above.
Yes, indeed. Okay, and with this, let's run through the recent price release for Elta. Okay, so they always indicative price.
Very attractive, starting
from 1.158 million. And that's a 1+ study.
Yep.
Yeah, the 2-bedder is started at 1.38 million, about 2,002 per square feet. 3-bedder about 2.198 million for the compact layout at 2,003 per square feet. Then 4-bedder, 5-bedder is about 2,003 or so. For the 4-bedder, about 2.8 million thereabouts starting from. And last month is the 5-bedder, where you can see it's kind of a huge jump in floor plate, and that's why they started at lower PSL 2001.
But we always say don't look at the indicative, because what we realize in past developments is that usually it's a clickbait unit. And then the next jump is going to be very significant.
Yep.
So I always buffer the average to maybe be about 150k, for example, to 200k above. Let's say if you're looking at 3-bedders.
Yeah, so using that kind of price to predict the later comparative. Yeah. So some things to take note. Okay, there are certain things that Elta developer have to do, but it's very minor.
Yeah.
Not to build a park or do something that's very major to the area. So things like reconstruction of drain, provision of footpath. You also have a covered linkway. Okay, along the southern boundary of the land parcel. Okay, and also most important, the realignment of the pedestrian overhead bridge across AYE.
But nothing significant. Okay, so next one we'll look at the schools. I think it's an education hub. you can take a look at all the schools that's around. But I think the next slide is what people are more concerned with, which is the 1 kilometer. So exactly what schools are within the 1 kilometer. And for Elta, like the neighbor Canopy and Clermont, right? Clementi Primary and ParkTown Primary, which is a pretty good school, it's within the 1 km. Unfortunately, for Nanhua Primary, it's not within the 1 km. So later we'll also take a look to say, okay, does school really matter? Look at examples to say if school is a consideration, how much more premium are people willing to pay in the resale market also?
Yes, indeed. All right. So next up is about unit mix. You can see it's a very nicely main focus on families, because most of the units, about 50+%, they are all in the 3-bedroom and 4-bedroom premium and 5-bedder. Okay, we have a minority of about 43%, they're about going at a 2-bedder and 1+ study. Yep. So this is where they are focusing on for families.
Okay, so moving on to the site plan, you'll see that I would say 2 main facings. Either you face Nanhua High at the start, at the front, which is towards Clementi Avenue 1, or you face the Ayar Raja Expressway, which is the other side. The other side, you'll be facing the landed. So a lot of people say that the AYE facing is a not so good facing, but you'll realize, okay, how we tell what is a good facing, right? You always go and find where the 4 and 5 bedders are facing. Usually, the developers will reserve like the facing they feel is better for the bigger prime units. So in this case, actually, the better facing, it's towards the AYE.
Yeah, so there's a lot of people ask, why do I face the road, face the very busy AYE road? But I realized that later on, I mean, if you jump into an investment consult, what we actually dissect is what exactly is the premium you should be paying when it comes to facing inward versus facing outward, and does it matter? So there's some things that we do actually consider to find what's intrinsic value for a walkaway price for every single unit.
And facing highway also means that, you know, your view is likely to be untouched, because unless they're going to shift the entire AYE away, right, your view is likely going to be quite certain, I would say.
Yes, indeed. All right.
Okay, so you can see here, this is the facing that we'll be seeing. So I think there are a couple of stacks that will face Clement Canopy or Clermont. If not, majority of them will either face the inside, which is Nanhua High, or the other side, which is the landed properties.
Yes. Okay. So with this, let's run through the entry price analysis at the 2003 to 25, T3 starting from the 25 per square feet. How is it considered expensive or cheap? So one thing to take note is we look back at the break-even price. This is something that we have been seeing coming for a long time, because we know this break-even price was close to 1 year plus ago. So it was stated at 2,156 per square feet.
I remember in 2023 when this land plot was out, everybody was like you just cannot imagine, right? Yes. OCR at that time. Okay, today you're saying, okay, after Trump out, everything it's out. Yes, the per square feet has hit this pricing. But back then in 2023, for people to say, Clementi, OCR is going to hit like 2.5, 2.6 is something that people felt wasn't realistic at that time.
Yes. But with today's market, recently with ParkTown launching, also about the 2.3 to up to close to 2.5 per square feet, it really became a reality. And if you add in the 7% area harmonization percentage, you will see that it will go up to about 2,307 per square feet for the break even. So at a 10% profit margin, you'll be looking at about a 2.5 on average, up to even 2.6 if you talk about the 15% profit margin.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's compare to 3 developments that's actually near this Elta. And we have Park Clementis, okay, Clermont, okay, and Clement Canopy. Park Clementis and Clermont is one of the newest projects around the area, where Park Clementis being 6 years difference apart from Elta, and Clermont being the 5-year difference. Then the older development that is something that is still quite new, within a 10-year mark, is your Clement Canopy, which is about 9 years away. So you can see development-wise, right, the closest in terms of number of units is Clement Canopy and Clermont, being 505 units and 640 units. And one thing to take note, they are all very similar high-rise and around the same area. So this is something that we will be closely comparing to. Meanwhile, for Park Clementis, is within 1 km from Nanhua.
Yep.
And it's a big development with nice landscaping. So this is another comparative that we are running deep into a layout comparison. Okay, and let's take a look at the surrounding resale right now.
So looking at the resale around Elta, you will see in terms of the per square feet wise, you must remember that these 3 are before area harmonization. So let's say you do get a unit at Elta, let's say 2.3, 2.4, right? Usually you prorate it down about 7%. 2.4 is going to be about 2.3. So for 9 years gap, Clement Canopy, they're around the 1,009 range. Park Clementis and Clermont are about the 2,000-ish range. Okay. So next thing to look at is also the layout comparison. You know, when does it make sense to buy a 2-bed, 1-bath? If let's say the difference is 200,000, then which one should you go for, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to look at how much people actually paid for the resale let's say 2 bed, 1 bath during the launch, as well as when it came TOP, how much was the resale people going to pay for it. Okay, so if you look at Clement Canopy, the 2 bed, 1 bath during launch was about 900. 2 bed, 2 bath was about 1 million. So the difference is about 126. When it came to TOP in the resale in 2024, the difference came out to be about 146. So meaning if you're considering between a 2 bed, 1 bath and a 2 bed, 2 bath, you roughly know that, the market is going to be paying about 150 thereabout when you're going to look at exiting.
Yes.
Okay. And then for the 3 bed, you'll see Clement Canopy 3 bed, 2 bath means the compact at launch is 1.3, 3 bed, 3 bath. The premium is about 1.5. So that makes the difference about 160K. But when it comes to the resale, people are willing to pay about 200K above. So that's why we're seeing that people, especially in this area where there are more families and you need like a helper's room or a bomb shelter or a home shelter, then when it comes to resale, people are willing to pay. So if let's say the gap is 400K during launch, okay, maybe you consider the compact.
Yes.
But for any reason, let's say the difference between the compact and the premium is maybe 200, then you know it's something that secondary market is willing to pay also.
In fact, it's quite interesting because last time we were seeing that who will pay that 200K just for the extra bigger yard and a guest room or like a storeroom. But then in this area, especially family heavy area, this does really add value to them, and people do value this in this particular district itself. So for Clavon, the 2 bed 1 bath and 2 bed 2 bath is very similar to Clement Canopy. Upon launch, difference in price of 160K. But when it comes to a resale market, when it TOP, the difference in price, people are going to pay 200K higher. So this is something that is very similar, that if you are willing to pay 160K, 150K higher for a 2 bed 2 bath, you're actually quite safe, because in the resale market, this is something that people are willing to pay for. And in fact, recent talks that say that, hey, the 2 bed 1 bath, it's not popular in the market, people won't buy. But something I noticed that based on this data itself, even the 2 bed 1 bath, yes, they make about close to 200K in terms of profit. There are still money to be made, but the key thing is you need to buy at the right entry price. And in terms of the 3 bed 2 bath and 3 bed 3 bath, you can see the difference in price, upon launch for Clavon is about 239K. But in resale, this difference actually went up by close to 80-90K to 325K. So you can see the value that people place in the 3 bedroom premium here is very much higher as compared to that of the 3 bed compact.
Okay, so looking at the Park Clementi's 2 bedder, you notice that the gap here is a bit smaller. They're 2 bed 1 bath with 2 bed 2 bath at launch. Difference about 43K. When it came to the resale, it's about 84,000. Another thing is the layout, because for the 2 bed 1 bath over here, they actually include a study, which the 2 bed 2 bath doesn't include. And their size difference is not very big. It's a 689 versus 721.
Yes.
Okay. So moving on to the 3 bedder for Park Clementi's on launch day, the difference is about close to 300,000. And people say 300,000 quite significant. It came to resale, the gap became even bigger, about 462,000. Correct.
Wow. So you can see in this area, really, the 3 bedroom premium, you're going to pay that premium, 300 plus K, that's still considered okay, especially in Clementi. Okay, next up, let's compare the layout to see how does Elta compare to Surrey resale. First up, we have Clement Canopy, completion 2019. How much profit they made? They made close to 900 plus K. For a big size in 1346 square feet. So you can see.
Like me, they're 4 bedders.
Yes, they're 4 bedders. And you can see back then, purchase price is about 1,002. Today I say about close to 1,009. And then for the smaller bedrooms, like the 3 bedder, also about 500 plus K. And if you look at back then, very interesting. A lot of people think that Clementi should be an OCR area, in D5, like outskirt.
And is it okay to overpay or not for Clementi?
Yes, and that's when we noticed that back then in Clement Canopy, it was actually priced 96 per square feet higher than the OCR new launch average. And it's very interesting. Below RCR is about 257 per square feet. So people say, hey, if I overpay for OCR, I shouldn't be making margin.
But then Clement Canopy they made, so we're going to understand a little bit why also.
Why? So there's something that is very interesting for Clementi area. People will say it is a place that is it's OCR, but yet there's actually a high demand of a family where you see $1 million HDB coming into the market. We see a very popular central, like a west side location that people are willing to pay a high premium for. So back then we see even Clement Canopy, although they overpaid as compared to the OCR region for 169K. And of course it's cheaper than RCR by 226K.
So this is comparing the 3 bed, just the 3 bedders quantum on average.
Yes, they are still able to profit margin that 40 to 50% in terms of PSF gain. And that's something that is a very interesting phenomenon in Clementi area. And right now, if you go back and compare layout to layout for Clement Canopy versus Elta, 2 bed 1 bath, you can see the 2-bed 1-bath for Clementi Canopy, okay, it was transacted at 1.23 million in the recent times. But for Elta, likelihood the launch price on average will be close to 1.53 million.
So a difference of about 300,000.
Yes, and layout type is pretty similar with enclosed kitchen, dumbbell layout. Okay, next we have the 2-bed 2-bath for Clementi Canopy, 732 square feet, transacted at 1.388 million. Okay, the layout is conventional layout. Okay, on the other hand, for Elta, it's a dumbbell layout with an enclosed kitchen. And this itself will likely be going at 1.7 million in terms of the prices. Okay, and 3-bed 2-bath. Okay, things get a little more interesting. You can see that 990 square feet over here. Okay, is a conventional layout. Okay, and this includes aircon latch. Okay, it was before area harmonization. Okay, with
which is huge.
Which is huge for 990 and transacted close to 2 million. And meanwhile, for on average, we're starting from 2.1 plus million up to about maybe 2.3 to 2.25 million. So the layout over here, only slight difference that we have is one of the bedroom actually faces inward. But take note, for this particular facing, we did look at the side map, actually faces towards either Clementi Canopy or faces towards Clavon. Yeah. So there's something to take note. Okay. Then we have the 3-bedroom premium. 141 square feet for Clementi Canopy have already transacted close to 2.15 million. Okay, landscape for living area, pretty decent. 1141 square feet include aircon latch too. Okay, and on the other hand, 1023 square feet, same in dumbbell layout, they try to mimic something similar that is very popular. A smaller balcony but bigger living area, but portrait in shape. With a study, okay, you are looking at close to about 2.5 million in terms of the average price. And last but not least is the 4-bedroom. Okay, 4-bedroom over here, you can see 1346 square feet. For Clementi Canopy, about 2.5 million. Okay, 9 years apart, you can see Elta, the 4-bedder, going at 2.841 million. Okay, at 2004 per square feet on average. And the bigger living type going at 1313 square feet at about 3.151 million.
Yeah, so I think for this area itself, the bigger bedroom types usually do a little bit better than 3 and 4 because they are mainly HDB upgraders. And when you upgrade for, let's say, from HDB, right, it's very hard for you to move into like a 2-bedder. So maybe 2-bedder will really be like very small, like small families or first-time buyers. Yeah.
But for the 3-bedroom premium and the 4-bedroom, you can see people are willing to pay the extra dollars for. And this is something that we will foresee it will start moving and hitting is a profit margin maybe even higher. We'll see later on for Clavon.
Okay, so next thing we'll look at is Clavon. I think this is a better comparison because it's one of the newer ones as compared to Clementi Canopy. So looking at their profit margin, you will see a shorter time period, but similar profit to Clementi Canopy. So from 2021 to 2024, quite crazy because one of our clients also bought into their 4-bedder.
Yes, indeed.
So over a period of let's say 3 years, the 4-bedders actually make very, very healthy 8 to 900K in terms of profit. Okay, so for Clavon, similar to Clementi Canopy, when they first launched, they also paid slightly higher than what the average OCR was. At that time, OCR was about 1480 and Clavon was average was about 1006. So they overpaid about 130 per square feet. If you look at quantum-wise for 3-bedders, at that time, OCR was about 1.376 for a 3-bedder and Clavon was actually 1.63. So they actually paid higher by about 259. And despite that, they actually profit very healthily. So I think it just goes to show, if this happens one time, okay, maybe you're a bit wary, whether it's one time off or not. But if it happens for Clementi Canopy, Clavon, and Park Clementi's, we will look at later, you realize that every single time, actually Clementi area, it's being deemed as like a slightly better location in our OCR and people are willing to pay. And when people are willing to pay during launch, when it comes to resale, they're also willing to pay. That's why indeed. A lot of them, their profit-wise are very, very healthy also.
Yes, so it's in between like OCR, RCR to some extent. Okay, so let's take a look at the 1 billion study for Clavon versus Elta. Price-wise, for 1 billion study for Clavon is about 1.09 million as compared to that of Elta, which is going to launch at 1.265. Only difference lies in the bedroom. The study is in the Clavon bedroom as compared to that of your Elta, which is at the right in front of the kitchen. And next I have the 2-bed 1-bath. Both are dumbbell layout. 678 square feet for Clavon. Recently transacted at 1.34 million as compared to that of Elta, 2-bed 1-bath. Very similar. Also dumbbell layout and closed kitchen. Going at 1.535 million for 2005 per square feet. The only difference honestly lies in the aircon latch not being counted for that of Elta. And for the 2-bed 2-bath, we can see for Clavon, it's slightly bigger, 764 square feet, 1.62 million at about 2001 per square feet. As compared to that of your Elta, Elta is a dumbbell layout as compared to conventional layout for Clavon. They're going at about 1.75 million. Actually pretty close in terms of the quantum. And both of them have enclosed kitchen. And next up, we have the 3-bed, 2-bath compact. You can see Clermont, 958 square feet, already close to 2.068 million. Okay, recently transacted conventional layout. As compared to that of Elta, 926 square feet, doesn't include the aircon latch. Estimated will be about close to 2.3 plus million for the compact layout. So I would say pretty similar in terms of the quantum for the difference in age. And for the 3-bed, 3-bath, this is when things get a little interesting. You see Clermont have already transacted at 2.48 million, very close to 2.5 for the 26th floor, 1130 square feet. And if you look at the quantum of the average of Elta, you will see about 2.55 million. And I would say it's
very similar, very close.
Yeah, so this is something that there could be an opportunity. And the layout type is actually very interesting, dumbbell layout, so it's much more efficient of usability of space. And that does put Elta as a competitive edge when it comes to the 3-bedroom premium layout. Okay, and next up, we have the 4-bed, 3-bath. Okay, similarly, you can see the 4-bed, 3-bath quantum is pretty similar for the Elta, starting from the 2.8 million range, okay, up to 2.84 million. And layout type is actually very similar, both 3 facing out and 1 facing in, with a pretty big living area. So this is something that does put Elta's premium layout and the 4-bed layout as a competitive edge as compared to that of the older, slightly older development. And the most exciting thing is that Clermont 4-bedroom premium. People recently are willing to pay the 3.38 million, okay, for a 1582 square feet. Okay, and one thing to note is that's a private lift. So netly off, it is still higher than that of the average prices you will see for Elta 4-bedroom premium.
So I think it's definitely bigger, but I think it gives buyers the assurance that, a 4-bedder over here at Clementi can fetch 3.3 million. So that's the quantum that they have already set in the benchmark. And then, for Elta to enter at 3.1, you have that buffer that you're looking at. Rather than, you don't have any 4-bedders at 3.3 and the last transacted for any developments are like 2 plus million, and now you're entering at 3.2, then you will be setting a new benchmark at Elta.
Yes, indeed. So there's something that's safe for people to enter.
Okay, so moving on to the last one, we'll look at Park Clementi. Also a pretty new development. I think they launched similar time to Clermont, and their average now it's about 2001. Okay, so similarly, very, very healthy profits. I think that 1496, which is their 5-bedders, they've already seen $1 million in profit from 2021 to 2025. And then, their 4 3-bedders are around they've seen about the 600, 700 range mark also.
Yes.
Okay? And the same thing, when we went to track their launch pricing against the OCR at that time, you will see that they overpaid. So OCR at the time in 2019 was about 1,405 and Park Clementi's was about 1,621. So overpaid by about 216. If you look at 3-bedder quantum difference, OCR at the time, average 3-bedder was about 1,304 and they paid about 1.46. So about 162K difference also. Okay. So you've seen a similar comparison across the developments that they all overpaid, but just make sure that, from an entry point of view, it's okay to overpay, but make sure you stay within a safety benchmark also.
And overpay is always reference to the OCR average rather than within the same district, same development.
Okay. So looking at their layout differences, if you look at the 1-bed first study, Park Clementi's, it's at 1.088 and then Elta is going to be at 1.265. I think with regards to 1-bedder, I think the market is getting a little bit smarter of it, that they know that, okay, they don't really profit as much from an investment standpoint. So when you see Ori, right, normally last time the 1-bedder and 2-bed, 1-bath are the ones that move the fastest because of a quantum perspective. Now it's the other way around. All the 3, 4 are flying off the shelf and then the 1-bedder is being stuck.
Yes, so that's something that people have started to notice in the market.
Okay, so looking at the 2-bed, 1-bath, at Park Clementi is about 1.368 and then at Elta it's about 1.535. Okay, so for the 2-bed, 2-bath, something unique about Park Clementi is that it's a dual key unit. Generally, if it's a dual key and it's not like a big one, we realize that it's a bit harder to exit. It's like jam triple key, right? Because one side, you can't really stay a family.
Correct.
Yeah, unless you're a single. So in terms of exit-wise, usually they're a bit harder, but of course for rental-wise, they're perfect.
So liquidity is an issue. But one thing to note is there are also the normal 2-bed, 2-bath. Yeah. There's also about the same price, very interesting. So we don't try to go into this kind of dual unit. Yeah. Okay. And next.
So next one for the 3-bedder, you'll see compact ones at Park Clementi's. Same thing is that not all 3 bedrooms face one side. So it's like one that's facing the other side, right? At 2.068 million. And then for Elta, it's about 2.315. Okay. For their premium 3-bedders, you'll see that at Park Clementi's is about 2.388 and then Elta is going to be about 2.557.
Yep.
Okay, moving on to the last one, which is the 4-bed, 3-bath. You'll notice for Park Clementi's, we're looking at about 2.9 million. Again, it gives you the assurance that 4-bedder in this area can hit this quantum. And then for Elta, they're, let's say, compact 4-bedder, it's at 2.84. So the quantum-wise, I would say for Elta, it's plus point lah, because it's under the resale. Yes, the size is not exactly the same, but it gives you the assurance that, hey, my resale older development is transacted at this price. I'm going to be completely brand new.
Yes, indeed. So this comes to the summary table where we have the summary resale for each of the bedroom type, 2-bedder, 3-bedder, and 4-bedder. For 2-bedder, Clem Canopy, Clement Park Clementi's ranges from about 1.3 million to 1.477 million. Top up, to Elta will be close to 1.75 million. Okay, in terms of the 3-bedder, that's when things start to get closed up a little bit more, where we can see up to Cleveland 2.1 million for 3-bedder compact. For Elta wise, it's about close to 2.3. And for the 4-bedder, where things get even more interesting, where you can see Elta selling actually cheaper than some of the resale nearby.
Yeah.
And this actually gives an opportunity to say, hey, actually as compared to the surrounding new launches in the market, that area, first time you can see something that is brand launch selling cheaper than a resale. So with this, we'll move on to the last part. Okay, this is what exactly is the surrounding land plots coming up.
Yes.
And this is important because from there on, we can actually benchmark, is this the price that we may be willing to enter for Elta?
Yep. So looking at the sites, you already have Cleveland, you have Park Clementi, and the last plot, which is at Elta, right? After that, if you're to find a near plot, the closest one will be at Faber Walk, which has already been bidded for. And if you look at the break-even price, or like the bid price first, right? It's actually by Guoco Land, and they paid about 8.9% higher than the second bidder. And if you look at their break-even price, it's at 1,682. So I would say that they did a pretty good job at this plot of land. And so the break-even, you plus 7% is like 1,008. You plus 10% profit margin, 15% is at 1,980 and 2,070. Comparing to, let's say, Clementi at maybe average about 2,500. I was not saying that they may launch cheap, but if they really do based on their break-even, this could be a potential site if you do miss Elta also.
Yes. So for this site, one thing to take note is Faber Walk as compared to Clementi Avenue 1. Of course, the location is slightly further away. But one thing to take note is the PSA about is cheap. So there is a chance that if they are kind to us, they are willing to launch it. But of course, some developer, they tend to want the price higher. So there's uncertainty going on there. Yeah. So one more thing to take note about this bonus. If you're looking at long-term hold 2029, 2030, what we can foresee is Clementi will officially be one of the stuff for cross-island line. And it will link all the way up to Ang Mo Kio, very central, all the way to Pasir Ris. So this is something
like 6 stops to Ang Mo Kio.
6 stops.
That's quite crazy.
Yes, and this is something that people are looking forward to. Okay, and as usual, we will be going through our WOW approach. Okay, buy, wait, or avoid. Okay, so scenario is as such. Okay, we have 2,006 per square feet. Okay, launching in the market for Elta. Okay, on average, will we buy, wait, or avoid? Okay?
2006.
2006. Okay, let's do this. 3, 2, 1. Avoid. Okay, so why avoid?
Okay, 2004-ish, 2005 maybe, but 2006, I feel like there are better developments that are coming up. Because 2006, I felt like the gap is a bit too big as compared to the resale. If it's at 2.4-ish, 2.5, right? Gap or quantum-wise, I think it's still acceptable. But 2006, yes, you may be getting the high floor. If you're going to be own staying, it's okay. I think if you're going to get very high floor for that, Clementi has proved to be a place of high demand. But if you're talking for pure investability, I think there are better lower entry products that's coming up also.
Yes, indeed. For my side, it's more towards the quantum play. When it comes to this compared to the resale and also compared to the upcoming new launches, unless you can get a pretty low PSF
or good better
number, that's why I may wait for a good better number right now. Okay, then potentially you can use price staging to make the profit margin, because there will be people who are willing to pay 2.6, 2.7, 2.8 per square feet because of the FOMO hype. Definitely have. So you can actually leverage on this particular FOMO to use the price staging to push out your price and make profit margin from there. But if you're going in for a pure investment and I say 2.6, okay, I really want to get a unit there, then you have to make up your mind whether it is really for investment or you're okay to settle down for own stay. So with this, I hope that this gives you a perspective of our analysis of Elta. I hope that you enjoyed the entire video. Thank you for watching to the end. My name is Christian.
This is Grace, and we'll see you the next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.